Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Everyday English. I'm Peter, and today we're tackling one of the biggest hurdles every learner faces: understanding native speakers. You know the feeling. Your heart races, your palms sweat, and you find yourself desperately hitting pause or rewind, hoping to catch every word. But what if I told you that, with the right approach, you can not only keep up with native conversations but actually start to enjoy them? That's exactly what we're going to explore today. Over the next 20 minutes, I'll share the strategies, insights, and a few personal anecdotes that helped me transform my listening from stressed-out confusion into confident comprehension. So grab your headphones, find a cozy spot, and let's dive in. I still remember my first time in an English-speaking country. I sat in a cafe in London, eager to order a simple latte, but when the barista greeted me with a rapid, "Morning, what can I get you today?" I froze. My mind raced through all the coffee vocabulary I'd learned: espresso, cappuccino, decaf, but somehow I couldn't piece together a response. By the time I stammered out, latte, please, she'd already moved on. It felt a bit like being underwater, muffled voices, flickers of sound, and no clarity. Yet a few months later, after immersing myself in targeted listening practice, I found myself striking up conversations with locals, understanding jokes on the bus, even catching the punchline in a British sitcom. What changed? I shifted from passive listening, just hearing sounds, to active listening, a set of deliberate habits that train your brain to pick up speed, decode accents, and grasp meaning from context. Today, I'm going to share those habits with you. First, let's talk about chunks of language. Native speakers rarely speak in isolated words. They use phrases and collocations. "I'm just stopping by. Could you please? Hang on a sec." That flow together. These clusters are like musical motifs. Once you recognize them, you can anticipate what comes next. To train yourself, start with short, authentic listening materials. Think 30-second podcast clips, YouTube intros, or news headlines. Listen through once without worrying. On your second pass, focus on catching entire phrases rather than individual words. Notice how "I'm gonna" replaces "I am going to," or "wanna" stands in for "want to." Shadow those phrases aloud. Play the clip, pause after each chunk, and repeat exactly what you hear, matching the rhythm and intonation. This mimicry ingrains not only the vocabulary but the musicality of natural speech into your mind, making future comprehension automatic. Next, accent diversity can feel like an insurmountable wall. You train with General American on your app, then get to Glasgow or New York and suddenly feel lost again. The remedy: variety. Expose yourself to as many accents as you can. Watch British dramas, listen to Australian vlogs, tune into Canadian radio, or sample podcasts from South Africa. Don't just stick to one region. When I first branched beyond my familiar accent, I felt overwhelmed. Scottish "loch" seemed like a tongue twister, and the Aussie shortening of every word to a single syllable was bewildering. But by alternating accents daily, my ear adapted. A simple exercise. Pick one accent per day and Listen for 5 minutes, writing down every fifth word you catch. Compare your notes to a transcript if you can find one. Over time, the variety will shrink in your mind. Instead of unknown accent, you'll hear another accent I understand. Of course, speed is another enemy. Native speakers often talk at 150 to 200 words per minute, faster than most learners can comfortably process. Here, graduated speed practice becomes your ally. Use digital tools to slow audio down. Many podcast players and video platforms allow playback at 0.75x or 0.5x speed. Begin at half speed, where every syllable is clear. As you grow more confident, bump up to 0.85x, then 1x, and even 1.25x to train your ear to handle the rush. Crucially, don't stay at slow speed too long. The goal is to return to normal speed. I recall listening to a 1.5x speed lecture early on and feeling like I had discovered rocket fuel for my listening skills. It was disorienting at first, but within a week, 1x speed felt crawling and 1.25x felt natural. Let's pause for an interactive moment. Think about the last time you tried to watch a movie in English without subtitles. How did it feel? Frustrating? Empowering? Grab a piece of paper and jot down 2 or 3 moments where you totally lost. Track, and 2 or 3 glimpses when you actually caught something surprising. A joke, a key phrase, a character's emotion. Later, come back to those moments with targeted practice. Replay them, transcribe what you can, or read subtitles one line at a time in sync with the audio. This reflective cycle, notice, practice, notice again, is the secret sauce to turning passive exposure into active mastery. Beyond these strategies, leveraging context clues is a subtle but powerful skill. In a live conversation, you can't pause for dictionary lookups. You've got to infer meaning from tone, body language, and the flow of ideas. In a podcast or video, you can lean back and let visual or thematic cues guide you. For instance, in a cooking show, you know they'll talk about ingredients, heat levels, and cooking times. So if you miss sauté but hear pan and vegetables, you can fill in the word. Train yourself by guessing at unknown words in context before checking the transcript or captions. This guess and verify approach builds your predictive listening, so that in real time your brain doesn't freeze when a new term pops up. It just slots it into a mental storyboard of the conversation. Another layer to understanding natives is intonation patterns. English speakers use rising and falling pitch to signal questions, statements, lists, hesitation, or emphasis. "You're coming," with a rising tone at the end, means a question, while "you're coming," with a flat or falling tone is confirmation. To sharpen this ear, pick a short dialogue, maybe 2 lines from a movie scene, and record yourself saying 1 line as a question and 1 as a statement. Then flip them. Listen to the difference in pitch and the listener's reaction. Doing. This repeatedly trains you to recognize the melody of speech, so that phrases like "right" or "you know" immediately register as conversational checks rather than random words. Of course, real-time conversation adds another wrinkle: disfluencies, ums, uhs, you knows, likes, sprinkled throughout speech. Initially, these can sound like noise, but they're actually punctuation. I think we should, start with the project outline. Each marks a moment of planning. Each like softens or buys time. Instead of tuning them out, train yourself to hear them as signposts that your brain is building meaning. Next time you catch one, mentally note, the speaker is pausing to find the right word, which helps you stay in sync rather than falling behind on every filler. Let's weave in a quick personal anecdote. A few years ago, I volunteered to help film a local documentary. During the shoot, the director gave me spontaneous instructions peppered with slang and idioms. Let's roll camera, then bounce over to the next spot. I was lost until I realized bounce meant move quickly, not literal jumping. Once I grasped that everyday words often carry figurative meanings, I began compiling a list of common idioms: bounce, roll, heads up, wrap up, and practicing them in short dialogues. That list became a secret decoder ring. Every time I encountered a new phrase I didn't understand, I added it to the ring. Over time, the documentary set felt like a rich classroom of living English. Finally, to sustain progress, embed listening into your daily routine. Replace just 5 minutes of social media scrolling with listening to an English news headline, a song lyric, or a snippet of a TED Talk. Keep a small notepad by your side to jot down any new words or phrases. Even better, turn those notes into flashcards that pair the phrase with its context sentence and an audio clip. Reviewing those cards for just 2 minutes a day compounds dramatically over weeks and months. Your ear becomes sharper, your brain becomes attuned to nuance, and those once mystifying native speakers start feeling like old friends. All right, my friends, let's wrap up our 20-minute exploration. We began by acknowledging the fear of drowning in a sea of native speech. Then we charted a course through active listening techniques, shadowing, accent variety, graduated speed practice, contextual inference, intonation awareness, embracing, disfluencies, and daily integration. We heard how personal experience on a documentary set taught me to treat idioms as living vocabulary, and how small, consistent habits create massive listening breakthroughs. So here's your challenge. Today, choose one new native-level audio source, maybe a 5-minute podcast clip or a speech excerpt. Listen first for overall meaning. On the second pass, shadow 2 or 3 phrases, matching rhythm and intonation. On the third pass, jot down any words or idioms you didn't recognize. Infer their meaning from context, then look them up. Use them in a sentence. Repeat this process 5 days in a row. You'll find that decoding native speakers isn't about magic. It's about method. It's training your ear, your brain, and yes, your mouth to embrace the real flow of English. Keep pedaling up that mountain, and one day you'll coast down with a smile, catching every word like old friends greeting you by name. Thank you for joining me on Everyday English. If this episode resonated with you, share it with a fellow learner. Leave a review and let me know in comments below. Breakthrough you had this week. I'm Peter, reminding you, Understanding natives is not a finish line, but a journey, one you can conquer step by step, sound by sound. Until next time, happy listening and happy learning.